All right, guys, what's going on? Good afternoon. Welcome aboard to the Aftermarket Recap. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of G.A.R Capital. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to join me today and every day at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm actually about a couple seconds early from 5 p.m., so nice. I know I've been late a couple of minutes usually just typing up the actual caption of the video. It's kind of hard to kind of encapsulate everything you're about to watch in about 110 letters, so forgive me on that. Bottom right hand corner of your screen with a little white, black logo. My apologies. Click on that, turn on notifications, subscribe to our channel. Make sure to hit that thumbs up, like that video for me. It really does help the algos and at least this channel. And subscribe as well. Always helps us out. Again, this is free of charge for everybody. This is your channel. Okay, let's go ahead and rock and roll. The Dow climbed up 47 points, up 0.15%. That was held back mostly by United Healthcare. You know, one of my favorite companies to own. They were down today 3.22%. So again, excuse me, 2.62%. So that actually dragged down the actual Dow Jones average since it's 11% weighted. I went ahead and posted that on Twitter. Feel free to take a look. Nasdaq Composite up 1.58%, tech leading the way. S&P up 0.59%. The VIX down 2.53%, 2388. Equal weight S&P up actually a little higher than the regular S&P, up 0.67%. Dollar index climbed to 0.34%, but the stock market didn't mind. Yields and bonds went up today. So yields climbed up on a strong, TLT climbed up on a strong 30-year bond auction. It is up 0.26%, but 10-year yield is at 3.036. Now, don't confuse TNX with TLT all the time because TNX measures the 10-year treasury bond, which is important to me because that's more for mortgages and how banks actually price out loans in terms of interest rates. So it's important. But TLT is the 20-year bond ETF. So again, that trades based on the 20-year bond itself. But again, it won't go one for one since the longer end of the curve has been having a less and less yield than the shorter end. That's what we call it an inversion of the yield curve. Of course, if you've been watching this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. High yield credit up 0.44%, 7609. The Nasdaq being up, that's a good sign. Investment grade bonds were down 0.11%. Interesting that it was flat, but again, looking at government bonds, the safest of the bonds were up very marginally, at least on the 20-year sense. It kind of makes sense that investment grade didn't really catch many bids. Crude oil was down 0.92% today, 99.81 a barrel, kind of hovering around 100. Not real much to do there in terms of movement or even trading it. Again, I did add oil to my portfolio or added some more bought Chevron, adding oil exposure to the portfolio. Again, playing that 200 day moving average right around 93.78 now, if you guys remember the daily. But again, in terms of trading this right now, there's really no edge. So, I mean, you could get up to the 20-day moving average of around 102.72. But right now, I think that support is right around 93.78 to around 90. That'll be your level that you're looking for to possibly add some more exposure to oil if you want at least the dividend in return. Gasoline futures down 1.61%. That's $3.25 a gallon. Still continuing to slide. Gold futures down nearly 1%. Risk on day. Bitcoin was up earlier in the day. Ethereum, Nasdaq. Look at the high betas. Gold is going to be down on that kind of rotation. 1694 an ounce. 1858 for silver. Same deal. Risk on environment. 0.68% to the downside. And Bitcoin is down now. Again, the futures is paused, so I don't have a spot price on Bitcoin. I can go ahead and get you that here. Bitcoin, I think right now is trading at 22 and a half, 23,261. So there you go. Nice bounce. It did fell because Tesla reported their earnings today, and they stated, and I quote, 75% of Bitcoin that was sold out. Excuse me. Let me go ahead and read the exact quote so I can get it for you. Tesla converted 75% of Bitcoin to fiat. I think that's just a nicer way of saying that they sold Bitcoin. So that's why you had a little weakness in Bitcoin. It did bounce. You're now at 23,261. So let's see how far we can go. We've seen the charts on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Check that out. That was on yesterday. I'm not logged into the Bloomberg terminal on the desktop. I have it on my iPad today to give out all the tweets of the headlines. It's a little more difficult on the desktop. It's easier on the iPad and on the phone. So that's why I don't have the Bloomberg up here at this very moment. So that's also, again, Ethereum being that kind of a higher beta, Bitcoin, let's call it 1519 currently. Let me get you the spot price of Ethereum just to make sure that I have the right price. 1521 right now on Ethereum. All right, let's go over the earnings of Tesla. Tesla did report today. So let's go over the after hours price action. Here we go. We had the earnings beat. Let's see here. It was up for 4% at one point after hours. Tesla Q2 22 earnings, Q2 adjusted EPS. I kind of cringe when it says adjusted or non-GAAP because it sounds like it's fuzzy. But again, obviously Tesla, according to their market cap, knows what they're doing. $2.27 versus the estimate of $1.83. Revenue at 16.9 billion versus 16.88 billion. That's a beat on the top and bottom line. And they reaffirmed their guidance. I mean, still seeing 50% average annual growth in vehicle deliveries. And then the other headline here is with each of the Fremont and Shanghai factories achieving their highest ever production months and new factory growth, we are focused on a record-breaking second half of 2022. That's from Tesla. So again, that right there is reaffirming guidance. Kind of what I've been best case scenario they will do. Again, Tesla is not the market. Tesla is a segment of the market. You could price it as a technology company or you could price it as a car company. Again, if it's a car company, it's really, really, really expensive. If you price it as a tech company, they make very, very little capital in comparison to its other tech peers based on that market cap. So again, it's really difficult to price Tesla. Obviously, we know it's a future forward thinking company. The Cybertruck, everyone's still waiting on. It is not without distractions, as we know. But again, after hours, at least as a trade, right now we're only up about $3 after hours. Uh, right now, that spike there on Tesla, when we got to around 780, let's call it, or 776, let's just call it. Once that was sold off, you could see the after hours. Keep in mind, after hours, guys, is very thin in terms of liquidity. Not everyone trades after hours. You'll really get the moves in their cash session, which is the S&P or the stock market opening at 9:30. So again, after hours is nice, but again, we can always go back to Netflix and look what Netflix did today. Pretty much a V-shaped recovery. We had the pop to 225, back down to 201, and a pop to 215. Ends the day up 7.35%. So again, if you're looking at a Netflix in general, maybe the premiums have reset at least somewhat. You still have a gap to fill, a massive one up at 333.50, 253.94 being the 100-day moving average, but at least you are clear above the 50. So that's Tesla in a nutshell. Basically, what you got is that sell order that came in, or sells that sell off that came in after hours was really the announcement of the selling or changing conversion to fiat of Bitcoin. I think that's what it looks like. So the conference call is going on now, so expect more movement on Tesla as we go along. But we'll go ahead and move on, and we'll see what happens tomorrow pre-market. Back to S&P 500 today. Back to good old-fashioned E-mini futures. Again, you have this downward channel here, or up, excuse me, ascending triangle wedge formation, if you want to call it that. Basically, we got a breakout, and then again, you're retesting the 20-day. We got below that on a couple of headlines. Google went ahead and announced that they're going to have a hiring freeze for 2 weeks. So that got to the bottom here around 39.40. And then we have some headlines regarding Italy and Mario Draghi stepping away from his prime ministership. I might be wrong on that. Again, I just read the headlines. So again, the euro slipped on that. Again, we got a drop and then we got a nice pop. Kind of ended the day nicely, up 0.41%. We pretty much ended up at the same level that we were just at 10 p.m. last night. Pretty much the highs of the futures overnight session. And then we had that 10 a.m. pop. And for the most part for the day, guys, it was a pretty sleepy day. The only thing I opened was some SPY calls. And looking at it here, this dotted line is your previous resistance. We held above it and bounced above it slightly. And again, that downward, this downward trend line, you could see as we're still clear above that and still clear above the 50. And we do have the gap to fill here around 400, exactly at 401 and 33 cents. And the trade is for next week. So that's what I'm in. That's what I opened. A couple of setups I posted as well. AMD. If you guys take a look on Instagram, I wanted to see where we closed. Where it closes is important, especially on the daily. So we had the daily closure of this candle. We're right above the 50-day moving average. If you've seen the S&P, we cleared that 50-day moving average, a very, very important key moving average, especially in terms of trends. So we broke above that. I definitely want to look at calls for AMD to fill this gap here at 94.01. I didn't really look at the options chart there because I didn't get the level that I wanted. I wanted to actually see that closure. So if we go to 94.95, you could see for next week's Fridays, 95 calls at 102, 6,000 in volume. So again, not a bad play there. That's the 95 calls. Just want to make sure that would be a nice target. Again, you can pretty much get from under it. Let's see how we do tomorrow. But AMD, in terms of opening, let's see how AMD has their price action. They report next week as well. So you may get a run up into earnings, possibly fill that gap, and then possibly reject as well. So there's definitely some plays there. S&P futures, again, I'm just going to get back to this. The level we're looking for, guys, is that 4,017 level. Now, what do you do, right? That's kind of like, okay, we get that gap fill, Carlos. What's next? What I really expect now after we get to that 4,000 level is I actually want to short it. And I want to short it back to this actual trend line here, this downward trend, at least retest the 50-day, which would be a lot higher. Excuse me, retest the, let me get that right when I'm on the 4 hour, sorry. I would actually want a retest of the 50-day if we short, at least. This will go higher, obviously, if we get to 4,000, which is only about 47 handles away. And then my stop would be right here around 40.75. That is that triple bottom that we had from May going into June. So again, I'm long SPY. I'm long stocks. Obviously, I'm a stock holder. But again, 4,000 is that gap to fill. Really, nothing has changed. There's a lot of indicators saying that a bottom is in. Um, Indicators are fine. But I still think we retest some lows. We do have a gap to fill in SPX. That doesn't have to fill, obviously. But again, this is the cash, S&P cash. You have it right here at around 36.75. And again, I'm happy that stocks are up. I'm be more disappointed if I missed a big buying opportunity at the bottom, even though I dollar cost average. It's very hard to actual time, but I think we'll get another shot at it once we get back down to around 36.75 and start filling some gaps. The only thing I'm a little worried about, guys, is the fact that I'm not seeing a ton of earnings revisions to the downside. So again, we haven't had the bulk of S&P earnings yet. Then we'll get that EPS number. We'll see if we get any kind of pullback or cuts on those revisions or in terms of future forecasts. Again, we have to see how this market is pricing in. So far, Netflix, I mean, pretty low bar was beat. Stock went up. Tesla, again, kind of quiet, not really doing much. So again, we'll get more tech companies coming in as they go. United Airlines reported as well. I think it's UAL. And United Airlines is down after hours, even though they posted a profit, $38.93 currently. So well, let's see what the analysts say tomorrow. Let's see if there's any earnings revisions moving forward. But for the most part, pretty quiet session. Carmen asks, hey, Carlos, thoughts on SPY for calls for tomorrow? Well, if you're talking about SPY in general, when you say for tomorrow, meaning when we open tomorrow, yeah, I'm bullish on it. Again, really, the level I was looking to hold really is right around 389.66. I put this dotted line here to indicate that we did have the double top here and we broke above that finally. And then we retested back down on that on the what was this overnight or earlier in the morning. We boosted back up and then we got back down to what is it now? 392.61 at the lows. Again, still below that dotted line, but again, we know that support can be like a mattress, doesn't have to be perfect. It did bounce back. So again, a nice retest of that. Let's see if this bullish strength comes back and we can get back to above 397.06 again, just to get to the gap fill at 4,000. The problem is, do we get it by Friday or do we get it by next week? I recommend if you do play SPY, Carmen, I would go for next week. Buy yourself some time. You might see some volatility. Granted, next week we have the FOMC on Wednesday. I probably would want to be best to get out of calls by then or any kind of open trades, just due to volatility is all. But we are above the downtrend on SPY, at least as we could see. You can see that downtrend. Again, we broke above that. That's a good sign. Above the 50-day moving average now, clear above the 20. We still got the blue line of the 100-day. Once we get to the 100-day moving average, guys, again, conversations may be a little different, but again, short term, I'm bullish to 4,000. After that, I think we roll over. So let's not get too excited yet. Again, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope we get back to all-time highs so everyone's happy again, but I don't think that's the case. But we'll play it day to day. Have a great rest of your afternoon, guys. I will catch you guys tomorrow for the morning note, and have a good one. Cheers.